The first image that comes to my mind when I hear the word saint is some sort of a Catholic thing.
I think of like St. Genesis or something like that, because when I was a kid, our house caught on fire and my mom faced St. Genesis to the house to help minimize the burning of it. And so
the iconic, saints like from the Greek Orthodox Church or the Catholic Church, you always think that they were unattainable icons, very holy and these very statuesque, kind of hard people to really relate to and stuff like that. But in my later years, I've learned that that's something to remind us of the people that have gone above and beyond to help others in some way.
It's not just necessarily someone's on a statue, it's some big church down the road. It's people that have really impacted your life in a positive way or mentored you or whatever the case may be.
A person who has a special gift and they have an instinctive, intuitive understanding of other people. They just have either an extra kindness or insight, something special about them that stands out from the rest of us.
I mean, I don't even know what a saint is, really. But, I have somebody I can suggest as somebody who's been important in my life. The pastor who was here when I came here, that's John Thornburg. He's a person who accepted my religious beliefs for what they were. His sermons were always inspiring and thought-provoking and delved deeply into important matters. He's the person who baptized me. He presided over my father's funeral and my mother's funeral.
The idea of what an unconventional saint Carol really models to me personally, and I think to a lot of people in the church. She sings in the choir, but she really doesn't say a whole lot. She just goes out. The books, the hymnals need to be straightened up after worship. The filters in the air system need to be changed out, and she'll do it. She can do it. So it's not something they said, you just do it. It's done. And that really resonates with me.
I remember one woman, Ellie, who made minimal income and was close to retirement. But she wouldn't retire because one of the things she loved to do at church was buy donuts for the kids. And if she retired, she wouldn't have enough money for the donuts. So she literally became the donut lady until she died. Other people, of course, picked it up, but they did that because she had set the tone for that it was something important. One of the things that inspired me to do is keep doing the Global Village Market each year.
I wanted to share about a saint in my life, and this is a woman by the name of Mary Helen Franco. The first time I met her was out at a place called Camp Grady Spruce. It's a YMCA camp out west of Fort Worth on Possum Kingdom Lake. And Mary Helen was a leader at that place when I was a child. Not only of the campers that came and were paying customers, but of the staff. And as she led the leaders, that's what I most appreciate about her over the generations that she stayed out there quite a number of years. And those people over time, we became friends. And Mary Helen was sort of this figurehead, a little bit, this mother figure for us all. But now we're all, we still have this amazing friend group that support one another through all the tragedies and triumphs of life. Mary Helen Franco is so humble. Like, she would never take credit for any of these things that she's done. She doesn't realize that we all think that she's this mastermind, but on almost every occasion that I'm around her, I just thank her, because my life would not have been the same without her in it, nor would my friend group be as strong, and our faith is stronger because of her.
I have a very dear friend named Dottie De La Garza, and she's a saint to me for many reasons. She's a very funny person and courageous. She's had a tough life in some ways. When she was expecting her first baby, she found out at her last visit the baby had passed away. She has gone through cancer herself, and she's helped several friends go through cancer all the way to their deaths, whose husbands were unable to help them. Couldn't and didn't. And she could just take something on and do it to the end. But just a very cheerful, strong person, and just has always inspired me because she's not perfect. I don't think of a saint as a perfect person.
Two of the untraditional saints I was going to talk about, one was my husband. He passed away 7 years ago with cancer. And he and his best friend both came here. And they sat back here in the back with my daughter, Andrea, who is on the committee and still comes. And I'm in choir, I would see them laughing so hard sometimes. I don't know what they were saying, but they were vastly entertaining, apparently. Everybody knew them, and probably had a lengthy conversation with them at some point, because they were both on the same wavelength about wanting what was best for someone. They wanted them to do and be their best, so they were, whatever they needed to do, however they needed to talk to people to make that happen, they were willing to do. So when Chris passed away, it was just amazing, the support, and the choir was full of people that volunteered to come to sing at his service. Oddly, Chris died in June and John died the next April, and so we lost 2 in 1 year. And we have money saved for a garden. When we do the new building, it'll be a memory garden that they'll have started.
My parents were my saints, and they helped me through my recovery of my accident. They never let me feel sorry for myself, and they pushed me to be the person that I am now.
My mom and my dad grew up during the Depression from very humble backgrounds, and they didn't have much. Anytime that we were at church and there was somebody that needed a meal or a place to stay, they were always making sure that they had a place to stay. There were several times over my life I can remember, just their passion about wanting to do for others. Of course, as a teenager, I wasn't always appreciative of that. It was like, it was not always convenient, It stayed with me, and whenever the pandemic hit, we had been shut down for about 6 weeks. There was a gentleman that came. He said, I'm just looking for some food. And so it's like, wait right there, I'll go back and get some. And I was like, that's what my mom would have wanted. The next day I went down to Sam's and bought food, and I started a cart there in them for people that needed it. And at that point in time, my mom, she was already needing full-time care, and I was on my way to take care of her. And so I just I knew I had to do it for her. It just touched my heart how much they gave of themselves.
I think there's individual saints, and then I think there's the magic that happens when ordinary saints get together and create something wonderful.
I had kind of a unique experience. Several years ago, on Christmas Day, I went to the hospital for asthma, or what I thought was asthma, and within 24 hours, I was intubated, and then I ended up being put on life support. And when I woke up, a month had happened, and during that time, my friends and family from church stepped in with my mother and took over my life, making sure that my rent was paid, making sure that there was food to eat for my kids. I mean, it was just so complete, and it wasn't a short term. It was like this for 90 days. Both my friends from this church and people I didn't even know stepped in to take care of my family, take care of me.
I think one of the things that keeps us going is a sense of humor, too. I never could appreciate dour saints.
When I was coming out of the coma, and honestly, nobody knew if I was completely there. I couldn't talk. And my friend Don McMullen from church was with me when I had a new respiratory therapist. And I was wanting ice or something, and he said I couldn't have it. And again, I could only kind of move my fingers. This is probably not a church-worthy story. I flipped him off. And my friend Dawn said, that's when I knew you were going to be okay, you know. She's my unconventional saint, you know, a dear friend. And there's so many dear friends and so many people who cooked for my kids, who took care of them.
People that don't go to church on a regular basis don't have any idea how valuable the community is.
It's very powerful in so many ways. It's not just the service to me. It was the validation, the love, the confirmation that I'm part of a community. And what's lasted with me is that there are a million ways that I can do that for others. You know, every day. How do I make you feel included? How do I make you feel loved? How do I make you feel valuable? You know, that's the kind of affirmation that was so important to me and that I want to share with others.
When I think of myself, I think, oh no, I'm not one of those saints. I'm not one of those holy folks, stained glass window. That's not me. But the truth is, the saints are the people that come into worship that make the church what it is. The people that, you know, live the great commandment to love God and love your neighbor as yourself.
I think that when you're loved, you feel that connection, and there's something holy there. There's something that's beyond me. It's beyond anyone.
Everyone can be a saint. They just have to find the opportunity. You don't always have to give food or give clothes or, you know, give money to support somebody. A lot of times it's, you know, just listening to their story.
The relationships are why we're on this planet. We've got to help each other. That's what we're here on this planet to do.
Plunge in and do what you can do, you know.
And then it has many ripples down the road, and you may inspire someone else to do the same.
When we do All Saints, we remember all those people, known and unknown, people just like us. They're not what we typically think, the stained glass, holier than thou. You know, we're just ordinary saints, ordinary people that try to live out our faith as best as possible without being overbearing, you know.